Okay, I'd like to call the special meeting for the Board of Adjustments for June 25th, 2024 to order. Brian, will you take the roll?
Steve Matheson. Here. Susan Whitehead.
Here.
Nikki Bishop.
Here.
Richard Livingood. Here. Stephanie Steffen.
Here.
Okay, I have no meeting minutes, so I'll explain how we'll conduct the meeting this afternoon, unusual. Okay. First, the city will give a brief description of the case, and then we will take testimony from the applicant and anyone who wishes to speak on the matter. Please come to the podium and give your name and address if you wish to speak. If you plan to give testimony, please raise your right hand to be sworn in. I solemnly affirm that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The first item on the agenda is case BA 2413. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit for the property located at 13 Carruthers Road, Newport, to build a parochial school. Would you like to give us an overview?
Sure. This is actually a stadium project. In your board packet, there is a site plan rendering of the new stadium, which is in the grass area close to Carruthers Road. Since this is in a residential zone, schools, regardless of their private or public nature, are considered conditional use. Uses in the residential zone, which is why this is in front of the board this afternoon here. I know Mr. Guthrie is here from Hub and Weber. He can explain the project a little bit more in detail. The school's been going through several renovation projects over the past year or so, and I think this is just kind of a continuation of that. City has no opposition to the project. Seems like it's a fine use of the space up there. Doesn't create any additional issues for the city as we can tell. So I have nothing further to add to this unless the board has any questions for me.
Is this the Newport Central Catholic property?
That is correct, yes. It's the NCC property, yes, sir.
And NCC is going to build a school, or?
So this is just a stadium project.
The stadium project, so
Yes.
it's not a building.
It is not related to the school facility itself. It's just their sports field, their stadium project, yes.
Oh, so when it says current use of property, parochial school is like the wide use of parochial school.
So, really, in a sense, I mean, this is an accessory use to the school itself.
Okay.
I don't have any questions.
Okay, well, someone like to speak on this? Give us an overview of,
I'll go ahead and go. Hi, Lauren Wolf with DBL Law on behalf of the applicant. Just want to introduce the folks that are here, and then I'm going to hand it over to Jim Guthrie so he can answer all your questions about the project. But we have Kenny Colopy, the principal of the school. We have Don Knuckleman. He is the he's in charge of facilities for the Diocese of Covington. And Jim Guthrie with Hub and Weber. So just want to say thank you for calling this special meeting. I know we're not the only item on the agenda, but it's very much appreciated. Mr. Guthrie worked really hard with staff just to make sure that it's in alignment with the zoning code and it meets all the conditional use requirements. I think you're going to see that, Newport Catholic understands the importance of community, and this project, it's an athletic complex and education center, so it's not just for Friday night football games. It's really going to be a part of the school, the operations of the school, gym classes and everything. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jim Guthrie with Hub and Weber.
okay, thank you.
All right, so yeah, Jim Guthrie with Hub and Weber. Just to clarify a little bit, I know you were asking some questions. It's an existing field to the kind of the southwest of the school currently. So it's currently used as a practice field for football. It's at the top of the hill, just above if you drive down Carruthers Road, you see that pier wall. It's just above that. So there's kind of a flat area associated with the site already that is used for athletic practices. As part of this project, we're going to be expanding that a little bit, and we're going to be adding some bleachers for seating, a scoreboard, stuff associated with the with field activities. There'll be a football, soccer, and track facility. And I think the bleachers will seat, I think we ended up around 1,500. This is part of a phased master plan for the school, and Kenny can talk a little bit about it, but athletics, the lack of true athletic facility on campus has been a kind of a deterrent to enrollment. Right now, they're using facilities that are pretty far away from the school, and it's just not very conducive to attracting, athletes, scholar athletes that are interested in going to NCC. So this is the second piece of the master plan, the first being the science renovation. Now they're working on athletics, and there are a couple more phases after that. So I'll let Candy speak a little bit about the master plan, and then if you have any more specific questions about the architecture or proposed plan, I'd be happy to get up and talk about them.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Well,
Thanks for having us today. As Jim referred to, we have a master plan that we created. NCC has been operating on the Hill since 1954, merged with Our Lady of Providence in the mid-'80s. OLP was at the current Hannaford Apartments down across the street from Newport High School. Reason for that merger was enrollment. The peak of co-ed enrollment was around 2008. We had about 550 students in Newport Central Catholic. I graduated in 2003 from NCC. We've seen a steady decline in enrollment since, except for last year. And we contribute that to a number of things, one being the master plan Jim was referring to. We put together a strategic plan to 2030 that identified a number of things, including academic programs, outreach with marketing, and then facility improvements. So we launched a capital campaign. We've named it the Looking Up campaign. We've raised, we have pledged $14 million towards the campaign from local businesses, alumni of ours, community supporters, that sort of thing. So there's very much a lot of support for these different initiatives. The first being our debt. We retired our debt. We had $1 million in our operating budget annually that's been retired, which has been great because we've been able to fund a number of educational programs with that. After that, we started with our Science Learning Center, so our entire third floor has been renovated, 21st century learning. That's a beautiful space. You're more than welcome to come up, utilize the view from where we're at. And that right now, currently, we have some HVAC and roofing improvements going on. So our final phase of this Looking Up campaign is this athletic complex. It's a multi-sport athletic complex, as Jim referred, football, boys soccer, girls soccer, track and field for boys and girls. Our baseball and softball programs will be able to use the facility for practices. Our gym classes can take part there. Our community can gather there. We are big on holistic education. It's not just academics, it's about the entire experience. 94% of our students are involved in something else, extracurricular-wise, whether it's drama, athletics, or other clubs. And we feel like this is going to help with this initiative with our strategic plan, support our students. We've turned out a lot of very notable alumni who I was looking out here in the frames, and a lot of our alumni are up on the wall. So established part of this community, and we're entirely grateful for your support and consideration on this. Absolutely.
Does anybody have other questions?
Friday night football games will be able to be right on site between the other schools.
That's correct.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Driving the Cubcats.
Yep.
Dixie Heights or
That's a huge plus.
And parking can be accommodated then for 1,500 people with a field being up there?
yeah, that's something we Jim, if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, and Jim, you want to?
Yes, the site area up there is limited. They have, I don't know how many cars are in the current lot. Several hundred,
Yes.
I'd estimate. And when they have galas and large events that are attended, do we know how many people attend the gala?
A crowded basketball game seats about 1,200.
Yeah. So during those times, they typically have an arrangement with the shopping center and they shuttle from the parking lot below. So luckily, it's not in an area where we're competing with residents for parking.
Right.
There's like a large parking facilities nearby, and usually for big games, there are accommodations are made for people that can't, walk up the hill. Certainly, there's a walk that takes you up the hill, and we'll maintain that, but typically there are shuttles available as well, so.
And I'll ask the one other question, the hill. I mean, there's always, it comes up every once in a while, complaints about, the,
Yeah, actually, thanks for bringing that
Slippage
up,
on the
because
hill?
I'd forgotten about that. As part, a piece of this project, but a separate, there are two components, is remediation of that current wall, the pier wall that's kind of being undermined right now. This project will lower the field a little bit, which will help accommodate that slippage, and we may be able to adjust the grading at that retaining wall. But then also, we're gonna be, and there've been remediation done since then in terms of drainage away from the wall, but we're gonna kind of address that as well as part of the field project. Obviously, when you're investing this much money on the top of the hill, you wanna make sure it doesn't slide off.
I would assume that, but I just had to say it out loud
Thanks for asking
because
that,
it's
'cause I had
been
forgotten to
an
mention it.
issue,
Yes.
and now it's in the record
Yes.
that you are. My brothers went to school there, so, we heard about it over the years. Does anyone else have any other questions for the architect or anyone from the school? Okay, thank you. Any other discussion, or is someone ready to?
Is there anybody else that?
Oh, is there anyone else that wanted to speak to this issue? All right.
That's right, roll.
We can, someone ready to make a motion for a conditional use?
Slide her over here.
We're still the variance.
No provisions or exceptions to this, right, Ron? You're just,
Well,
That's up to the board's discretion
Yeah.
there. However, there are no specific set conditions set in the zoning code for schools or stadiums. So there are none that would need to be applied here necessarily. So it's all in how you decide to craft your motion.
all right. This is for conditional use as well.
Correct.
I make a motion to approve case number BA 2413 to grant a conditional use to allow a stadium to be built and all of the reported preparations and changes to that. By granting this conditional use at this particular location, it is necessary or desirable to provide a service or facility which will contribute to the general well-being of the neighborhood or the community, will not, under the circumstances of this particular case, be detrimental to the health, safety, general welfare of persons residing or working in the vicinity, or injurious to property or improvements in the vicinity, and will comply with any regulations and conditions specified in the official zoning ordinances, as well as the adopted comprehensive plan for the city of Newport, Kentucky for such building and use.
okay. Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
Brian, will you pull the board?
Steve Matheson?
Yes.
Susan Whitehead?
Yes.
Nikki Bishop?
Yes.
Richard Livingood? Stephanie Steffen?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome, thanks for coming.
All right, our next case is BA 2414. This is the property at 118 West 7th Street, and they are requesting, this is a variance, right?
Setback
A
variance.
setback variance, yes. So, Brian, would you like to give us?
So the applicant's requesting a rear yard setback variance from the 25-foot required rear yard setback in the R3 to 6 feet in order to construct a single-family home on that parcel. the existing lots in the area were platted somewhat smaller than the surrounding ones for whatever reason. There was formerly a house on this. It appears as though it's been demolished for a period of decades, well before my time with the city. According to GIS, it looks maybe back into the 80s at some point. So this is part of a larger project that Brighton Center is doing throughout the west side of the city. However, this particular piece was the only one that needed a variance currently in order to construct. It does appear as though the property has off-street parking accommodations on site for the proposed new home. City also has no objection to this application either.
Doesn't sound like we have any neighbor issues in this application all the years for us.
Well, we need to hear from the applicant.
Presumably no, but we'll see what,
Good afternoon. I'm John Lang, attorney for Brighton Properties. I'm going to turn over the application to Stephanie from Brighton Properties. Welcome over.
Good afternoon. My name is Stephanie Steen, and I am the Housing Development Director with Brighton Properties. As you've already heard, this particular lot is part of a larger development of looking at potentially 12 units here in Newport. On this particular lot, we would like to do a single-family rental unit. It will be serving low to moderate income individuals and those that would be looking at a residency of this particular unit would also receive case management services by or through Brighton Center. And really looking at serving those that have had housing instability over the last couple of years. So getting them rehoused and connected to, stable housing, so they can thrive in place.
So it is a homeownership project? Is that,
This is going to be rental.
it's rental project?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when you said 12 units, you said something about you're developing 12 units? Is that what you? So
a
this
lot
is
of-
part of that?
Yes.
They're not all right in this area?
Several of the other units are located on the 700 block of Ann Street. We also are looking at 2 other locations or properties, in working with partnership with the city, on vacant lots. That, again, they all potentially, they're going to be rental.
So this is just like a
One.
part of your project?
Yes, this is
Okay.
one of a larger.
Okay. But it will be a single-family home and?
It will be a single-family home rented to that individual or family, to give them an opportunity to thrive in place, especially living in the city of Newport.
And it does have off-street parking, is that what
Yes.
I understood from Brian? Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
There's a parking pad in the corner there.
that's good. Off-street.
Will the exterior be similar to other homes on Ann Street?
Yes, and Jim Guthrie is here as our architect, so I'll let him, share a little bit more. of like
Hello, I'm Jim Guthrie. Nice to
Long
see
time
you
no see.
guys again. Yeah, so this is on the site plan that was submitted, this is a 1-story, 1-bedroom cottage-style home.
Nice.
So it's in keeping with, it's a gable roof, and it's in keeping with kind of the scale and style of some of the smaller cottages in the community. The setbacks generally conform to the other lots in the area, and our rear yard is, I think we asked for 6 feet.
I think it was 25 down to
5 feet,
6.
So 6.5 feet, but the adjoining properties are between 0 and 6 foot setback from the rear yard. These are all very small lots on 7th Street, and And so that kind of restricts, there'd be no way to meet the setbacks with the current lot size. So, what else? There is a parking pad. Parking is very difficult on Ann and Seventh in the neighborhood, and so, we provided a pad off-site to help accommodate that and allow people to park near their home. So,
So the parking pad is off-site, Jim, is that?
yeah, it's adjacent to the house to the north. And it's identified there, 9-foot by 18-foot concrete parking pad.
Top corner
This up here is the parking.
Yeah, so if you're looking at the site right there, is a parking pad.
So both of those pieces of that, both of those lots go with that house? That's, I'm just looking at it, assuming that.
No, we're giving you the adjoining properties just for reference.
Okay.
But the one white here is the proposed project. These other projects aren't associated with this project. And as Stephanie mentioned, there are 10 to 12 other sites. Currently, we are in compliance with all the zoning requirements, so that's why this is
Oh, that's why this
only
is
one
the
before
outlier.
board. At one point, we had all of them listed, but then as we went through the zoning, we understood that those met the requirements of the zoning code. So this was the only one that kind of fell outside of that because of the small lot.
Were most of them one-bedrooms? I think that's wonderful to get some people
We have
in.
1 to
like,
3
1 to
bedrooms. I
3.
think, but most of them are 2. I forget the mix.
Yes.
Yeah, most of them are 2. I think we have 1 or 2 3s, and then the other rest are 1s. So all the 1 bedrooms are 1 story, the 2 bedrooms are 2 story.
Nice.
3 bedrooms are 3 story.
Are these the brick, similar to some of the brick ones that
Yeah,
are already
this is
on
all-
Ann
all
Street
brick-
that I've seen?
all brick exterior.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
There's one by the community garden, I remember, because I used to volunteer down in that community garden.
Yeah,
but-
so it's similar. I mean, Brighton Center's been doing a lot of work over the years. We've been working, so lots of vacant lot refurbishment bill to help bolster the neighborhood, but then also provide housing
Housing.
to folks that are in need of it. So, yeah, there's lots of examples of what they've done.
And rental's a good market to hit. You
Yeah.
know, we do home ownership projects, but rental is, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important to kind of cover all bases, provide a lot of diverse opportunities for home ownership, to home ownership, including rentals.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
rentals are tough here. Rentals are tough all over.
Well, especially in the low to
Yeah.
moderate income range, we've seen a lot of reduction, so to get more stuff in there.
Right.
I
Well,
would
thank you.
assume too that is this gonna be a fenced area, the backyard, the 6 feet, 6 inches is left, is that gonna be fenced or open?
That'll be open. There's a back door to the unit, and so there's some area for storage of garbage cans and that. We're currently not proposing any fencing. That might be something that we evaluate as we finalize our budget.
Okay. And Brighton Center manages this property, I assume?
Yes, yeah. Brighton Properties, I think.
And some of the homes that I've seen, they seem to be maintained very well, so that's great, yeah.
It's a pretty holistic approach to providing housing for folks. And Stephanie mentioned the counseling and all that kind of stuff. They
Supportive
provide a lot of
services.
support behind that. Childcare, housing assistance, employment assistance. So it's a good program. They're looking at the whole person.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions? Okay. Well,
Take the list this time?
So since this is a variance, any motion that would be made, presumably to approve, should list not only the statutory language, but also site-specific language
Right.
related to the property. In this case, it was a small lot, and the owner does not own adjacent properties in which to acquire additional property, which would warrant the variance.
All right, I make a motion in granting this variance case number BA 24-14. It will be allowed for the general purpose and intended official zoning ordinance and not be injurious to the neighborhood nor otherwise detrimental to public welfare. It will not adversely affect public health, safety, or welfare. It will not alter the character of the general vicinity. It will not cause a hazard or nuisance to the public, and will not allow unreasonable circumvention of the zoning regulations, bearing in mind that it is a small lot in this particular zone.
Okay, and I do think we want to mention the rear yard setback from 25 feet to 6 feet, that we are allowing that as part of the motion, that's specific.
That's a variance, correct?
Yeah, that's permitting the 6-foot, 6-inch setback.
But, approve the plan as submitted, so yes, I think 6 foot versus the 25 feet. It does say 6 inch.
All right, we have a motion. We have a second?
Second? Oh.
Steve Matheson?
Yes.
Susan Whitehead?
Yes.
Nikki Bishop?
Yes.
Richard Livingood? Stephanie Steffen?
Yes.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you.